Hello again. It's good to be here on MZ Your Way. Today I have a special guest that is doing very interesting thing in Amazon, something that I was overwhelmed when I was hearing about his activity. Uh, Very relevant for many Amazon sellers. Yoni Mazor from Getida. Hello, Yoni.
Hi Assaf, how you been?
Everything is good here in Israel. Where are you located in the US?
I'm in New Jersey, right next to New York City. This is like the center of the corona at this point.
So
So it's
how things on your end?
things are very quiet around. Everybody's staying home, staying away. So we hope for a better day and soon. But it gives a good opportunity to, I guess, connect with the family a little bit. Connect. People can connect with themselves without the need to run around and chase other things. So it's an interesting period in life. We're gonna look back at this and see that was historical times.
Yeah, it is. I'm almost 8 weeks with my kids home, and I have 4 kids. So I
Wow.
guess how busy we are chasing the kids.
Oh yeah, it's good. I think you and your kids will remember this, and all my kids also. It's gonna be. I don't know. I mean, you probably know it just as I do. I know. In 1990 or 91, we had a war with Iraq, and everybody stayed home in the shelters. And I remember I was in first grade. I connected with my family and parents. So,
Yeah,
from hard times can bring people together, and that is pretty much what we should take from this whole event.
yeah, it is. It is. It's a good time and for the family, and actually, it's good gathering, being together. But we are here to talk about Amazon and how to scale up your business in Amazon. And you prepared for us something very interesting today. But before touching that, we know that also when talking about Amazon and COVID-19 as with the Corona time, um, I noticed that many sellers able to scale up their business or reducing their business, the business going down. So when I'm thinking about PPC, because it's part of my expertise, uh, I have a few tips for people, for sellers during this time. Is if your business is going up, of course, invest in advertising. It will scale up to maximize your sales. If your business is going down, it's a good time for doing a lot of research about your competition, to try to learn what your competitors are doing, how they behave, what is the relevant keywords, what keywords they are selling on sponsored, and which keywords they are selling organically. There are many tools that can do that, and try to optimize your PPC campaign for the next few months. Okay. Do you have anything to say about the?
Yeah, a little bit, just a small thing. I mean, sometimes it just depends on the category. There's some categories right now are suffering just because of the reality of people not being able to go outside. It doesn't mean that you have a bad product. It doesn't mean that you have a wrong business. It means it's a temporary thing. So take the time, like you said, to maybe do some more research about your competition or what's going on, and hopefully when the trend of the problematic trend will go away and things will open up again, hopefully you're going to be in a better position. So take the opportunity to prepare yourself.
It is, and I think that you prepared for us something interesting also about the category. We were talking about it earlier, but I'll not do a spoiler now. I will wait for your presentation. So, Karan, you have something to share with us, right?
Yeah, let's start. I think we're good.
Okay.
You see it?
Yeah. Okay.
uh,
Looking good. Okay.
all right, here's a short presentation for Asaf and the community about what can Amazon sellers do to minimize Amazon fees, and by doing that, hopefully you can make a little bit more profit as a business, as an organization. There's a few simple things any sellers can do to basically improve their business and make more profit. So this is pretty much the idea of the presentation. All right, so let's get to the next slide. So first of all, like Asaf mentioned, my name is Yoni Mazor. I'm actually the co-founder and the COO of Getida. What's Getida? It's an acronym. It stands for Get IDA, or Get Intelligent Data Analytics. We're a technology company. We have a bunch of popular services. One of the most popular services is helping Amazon sellers do a financial and logistical audit on their account. And once we find issues or problems, we're able to help them get reimbursements if they're eligible for it. Okay, but we like to do it in a very simple way, where it's very, I guess, convenient for the sellers, and it's very supportive for the sellers. Where can you find Getida? Obviously, you can go to getida.com, find us there. But you can, if you go to Amazon, to the App Store, you click us, you find us. We're also available on Amazon's App Store as service providers. All right, and without further ado, let's hop into the first tip. Okay, this is what Assaf kind of mentioned a moment ago about, if you go down to the basics and the fundamentals when selling on Amazon, you have to realize that it starts from the early beginning, which means you got to pick the right category to sell in. All right, let's say you you are a private label seller. You want to make a computer, right? Your own brand. You want to make a cool gaming computer for gamers. You construct it with very, very good materials. Very fast processing, whatever, and you want to sell it on Amazon. So you think, all right, I'll go to Amazon. I'm gonna put it on electronics, right? The electronics category, the rate, the selling fee on Amazon is 8%. Okay, but that might be a mistake. Why? Because Amazon, if you take a look here, there's actually a PC category. Okay, the PC category is 6% and not 8%. Okay, and therefore the difference is 2%, which means if you were to sell $1 million worth of your computers in the wrong category, on the 8% category, which is electronics, you're gonna pay $80,000 a year in Amazon fees, right? If you sell it in the correct category, which is the PC category, you're gonna pay $60,000. So the 2% difference can be $20,000. So of course, if you optimize it and make sure you sell on the correct category, which is optimized for your relevant item, there's savings there. You can save a lot of money, and it can make a big difference for your bottom line profit. Okay, another example here is if you want to sell a watch, right? A lot of people think, you know what, when I want to go buy a watch, I usually go to a jewelry store. So let me put this on the jewelry category on Amazon, right? The problem is the jewelry category on Amazon, it's 20%. All right, and while they actually have a watches category, if you look carefully, you're going to see they have a watch category that usually starts with 16%. So here the difference is actually double. It's 4% from the other example that we had. So sellers have to understand that um, in the early beginning, make sure to look on all the categories and subcategories that Amazon has. Make sure you fit yourself correctly, and hopefully it's going to work in your favor. Sometimes it's not in your favor. And if it's not in your favor, don't play games. Don't play games with Amazon. Don't try to go around it. Um, make sure you're in the right category, but especially if there's a subcategory that can benefit you and you pay less fees, make sure you do it. It's going to reward you.
I want to share some story I had from one of my customers. Actually, it's very relevant to choose the right category, because when I was working on PPC for one of my customers, I did all the research about the competition. Then I found that actually my competitor product is not in the right category. And actually, its competitors is making most of the sales because they are on the right category. So I recommended them before even doing PPC is really about moving your product out to the right category. And this is what I think that you should research before you're launching your product. You should research what your competitors are doing, where are located, on which categories and subcategories that they are the product in, and after that, just upload your product into Amazon.
That's a good point. I mean, once you do your market research, and I guess one of the earliest or first things you got to do is identify the exact categories that the competition is selling in, and for the very least, make sure you're there. Because if you're not there in a different place and you're paying more fees and they're paying less fees, you're gonna have a big, big problem later. All right, let's move to the next example. This goes back to logistics. If you're selling on Amazon and using FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon, right, their services. So this is a very important, simple point that sellers need to understand. When you make your products, right, and you want to sell them on Amazon, make sure you package it small, make sure you package it light, and make sure it's smart. I'm going to give a simple example. Let's say you have a basketball, right? You want to send a basketball into Amazon, you have two ways to send it. You can either send it inflated and the dimensions will be this big, right? Or you can send it deflated, so the dimensions are this big. It's squashed, right? And the difference will be, it can be dramatic. Why? Because when Amazon charges Amazon FBA sellers a fee for shipping products, they call it pick and pack. What does that mean? It means they pick it from the bins, they pack it in a box, and they ship it to the consumer, right, to the Amazon customers. And the price that you pay for this picking and packing is determined by the weight and the dimensions of the product. So the larger the dimension is and the heavier the item is, it's gonna cost you more money, right? And the lighter it is, okay, and the dimensions where the narrower it gets, you'll pay the least price. So let's say you have this basketball, right? If you have it in squashed, right, in the lowest dimensional tier, you're probably gonna pay like $3.50 to ship it to the client, right, to the customer. But if it's inflated, instead of being like 3 inches, it's gonna be like 12 inches. What's gonna happen? Amazon might charge you $10, right? So you're gonna pay $6.50 more for each order for having inflated weight and dimensions. Let's say you sold 1,000 units, that's $6,500 that you paid extra because it wasn't smart. Okay, you gotta make sure you get smarter. You make sure it's small, it's light, and it's the smallest as it can be. It's very important to understand that. Another thing sellers need to understand is that now that you're selling online, it's very different from selling in a store. When you sell in the store, when I walk into the store, the way a lot of companies package, they package it in such a way where the product on the shelf screams, touch me, hold me. So the materials can be very, first of all, the boxing can be big because you want to get more space on the shelf, right? So it's going to be a big box, maybe with wood, maybe with some metal, and you're going to want to touch it. And when you're selling online, you don't have to do that. The shelf online is actually your listing. So if your listing looks great and it's optimized, has nice images, has enhanced brand content, right, has video, that is your shelf. That's how you scream to the consumer, buy me, hold me, okay, and pay for me. And they do. That's what happens. They make a purchase, and no matter what you do, when they're gonna get the product, they're always gonna get it in an Amazon box. Okay, either a box or an envelope. They're gonna get it with the smiley of Amazon, and so make sure when they open it, they have a nice, elegant, simple box. Okay, because you already made the sale. If you're gonna have a big, heavy box, whatever, it's not gonna help you too much because you already made the sale. Okay, you just pretty much is gonna pay more fees. So it's important for sellers to understand the difference between selling on regular stores or selling online, and especially on Amazon when it involves logistics, logistics and the fees that are connected with logistics. So this is another very simple tip that every seller can appreciate and utilize, and is going to save them a lot of money going forward, because we see that the biggest fees that Amazon FBA sellers pay is in FBA fees, the pick and pack fees. Okay, well, every time they pick a pack, you cannot avoid it. That's when you make a sale, you pay that fee. The smaller it gets, the more profit you're gonna have.
So Yoni, it actually starts. The beginning point is actually is setting up packaging requirements to your supplier, because many private labels sellers doesn't really know on which boxes it will get in, and many times they just buy and send it out to Amazon. So it's very relevant to specify your packaging requirement to your supplier and make sure to do the right QA. So your supplier is shipping the product when you ship directly to Amazon, it's with the correct packaging.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Meaning, when you work with your suppliers to create the products, if you were just planning to just buy whatever packaging they have, that might be a big mistake. Because if they have a packaging that's not really for online selling, it's more for like regular stores, and it's gonna be big, it's gonna be heavy for no reason, you're gonna have a problem. You're gonna pay very heavy. You might negotiate every penny with the supplier, but if the supplier is gonna give you a big, heavy box or packaging, it's gonna cost you so much more. So might as well pay attention to that. Make sure that you know what you're getting, especially when it involves the weight and the dimensions. All right, now that we established that the product needs to be in the lowest tier, right, of the weight and dimensions, that's taking care of one side of the problem. The next problem that you might have later on, even if you have the lowest tiers of weight and dimensions and you did everything you can, you still have to track and monitor, okay, the packaging. Okay, and the weight and dimensions on Amazon, the data. Why? Because every once in a while, Amazon might change it for one reason or another. One classic reason is that, let's say you want to sell a handbag, right? You have a handbag. What happens is Amazon might scan it in their machine. They have a cubic machines, and once they scan it in the machine, the strap that you have is just staying out there. If it is, it's gonna, instead of the size being like this, that strap that goes out there is gonna distort. It's gonna make the Amazon's machine is gonna think it's much larger, and because of that, Amazon is gonna update the data, and your dimensions will be much bigger and higher. Okay, that's one. That's just one small example. Another example is that it could be a competition. What they can do is they can take your ASIN, the product that you're selling, They're going to list it in their account. They're never going to sell it. But what they're going to do is they're going to go inside the information of the product, and they're going to increase the weight and dimensions, right? They're going to change the pounds or the weight of it and also the dimensions to make it larger. Why? So, you're making all these sales, you're thinking you're making a lot of money, but what they did for you, they made it much, much more expensive to sell and compete with them. So we do find sellers that experience this kind of issues. So it's very important. What you need to do is track the weight and dimensions of your products on Amazon, and you have to do it at least every 90 days. Why? Because Amazon gives, if Amazon overcharged you pick and pack fees, weight and dimensional fees, if they overcharged you, they're going to give you a reimbursement, okay? 90 days back. It used to be 18 months, but now it's limited to 90 days. So once you find the issue and then you find that you're being overcharged, you got to do two things. You got to open a case to tell them, to update the information so they stop overcharging. And the second thing you want to do is make sure that you get a reimbursement, FBA reimbursements for all the overcharge. And they're going to give you 90 days back. So if you do this once a year, you might have an issue. You might get 90 days back worth of your money, but the other 9 months before that, you're never going to get that money back. So you got to keep tracking it and monitoring it. And the moment you find an issue, fix it, and hopefully you get a reimbursement. Now, if it's too complicated, too hard for people, we Getida, we prepared a free tool. It's free. Anybody can go to getida.com/dimensions, and it's going to be a template. This free template, you're going to have the ASIN, the SKU, right? You can put the length, the weight, the height, all this information to have it in one file, and then you download Amazon's data, you compare it. Okay, if you see Amazon has higher information somewhere, that's when you know you have a problem. Okay, instead of having your products in 1 pound, you see that Amazon has it at 10 pounds, you have a big problem. You have to make sure you attend and you fix. Okay, and by having your information ready and prepared all the time, okay, you're going to be able to react faster once you find the problem. All right. And if anybody also wants even a more advanced help, what they can do is they can go to getida.com and sign up. It's free. It's free to join. It's free to sign up. There's no fees. We actually have a new release in our dashboard. If you go to getida.com and you sign up your account, on the left side you see it's called Pick and Pack. You can click it, and then you're gonna have the information already here. You can just use it and save it. Well, but also what you can do, you can export the table, right? You can export the file, right? The Excel file, and then once you export it, it's already gonna have Amazon's data of your ASINs in the file. So therefore, you're gonna have, all you're gonna do is put your information there. You're gonna see Amazon information. You're able to do it, to compare right away instead of going to Amazon and pulling it and finding it. It's kind of a shortcut if you need. So if you have issues, you can fix it, not a problem. If you need help fixing those issues, you can reach out to Getida. We can help with that as well. But that's gonna have a cost. That's gonna have a fee. In general, Getida, what we do, we don't charge any subscription fees. We don't charge any monthly fees. We only charge fees if we're successful in getting you a reimbursement, an FBA reimbursement. So let's say you had a problem with pick and pack overcharges, and there's two options. You can take care of it alone. That's fine. We're here to help, and you have these tools that we set up, and they're free tools. But if you need help to get the reimbursements, we can do that. And if we're successful, let's say we got you $1,000 back, we'll charge a 25% fee, which for example will be $250, and that's it. That's where it starts. That's where it ends. So if people need that help because things are a bit too complicated, they want to scale up, we're here to help, and we'll be happy to do so. Okay, let's go to the next tip.
How often you should check it? Every 90 days?
Yeah, every 90 days, at least every 90 days, because if you, well, like I said, if you check it once every 6 months and there was an issue, you're only going to get 90 days back worth of reimbursements. So you're going to lose, you're going to get for the first 3 months, and the other 3 months before that, you're not going to get it. And that can be serious, heavy money. Therefore, sellers need to know the rules. They need to know the time frames. They need to know the deadlines and be prepared. You got to make sure that every 90 days you check it, and if you find there's an issue, fix it. First of all, update the data, and then get the reimbursements, for the past 90 days. Of course, it's too much for people. They can't handle the speed and all this complexity. There's companies out there that can reach out. It happens to be the Getida is one of them, and we'll be happy to help. Anybody that needs help.
And how long it takes Amazon to reimburse you?
Typically, it could take a few days. It can be between 1 to 5 days. It doesn't take long.
So you get your money back very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's something, maybe it's unless it's something very complicated, or maybe it's a big amount. Sometimes you find the amounts to be tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars. Amazon might take a bit more time because they probably need a higher manager to say, oh yeah, this is, everything looks, accurate, and it's a problem, and they're gonna press the button and they're gonna approve the reimbursement. That might happen, but in general, 1 to 5 days, yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't take too long. Amazon is very fair. It's very good with that. Okay, here's another tip. When you sell an FBA on Amazon, you know, when you get returns from customers, there's two types of statuses. If everything's okay with the product, Amazon is going to restock the unit, right? It's going to go back to inventory. It's going to be fulfillable. The other option is if there's any issue with the product when it comes back from the customer, Amazon can change the status to unfulfillable. Okay, so you have fulfillable and unfulfillable. Now, many sellers they don't know what to do with the unfulfillable items. Basically, they have two options: either you do a removal order and take these items back to your warehouses, okay, and the other option is just dispose them. You tell Amazon throw it away, you know, bye bye. So here is basically we brought a simple formula. It's all mathematical. You know, if sellers want to know if they should remove it or not, it's a very simple mathematical calculation that they should do in order to know if they should throw it away or take it back. So I gave here a simple example. But before that, I want to mention that, you know, Getida's data suggests that most of the unfulfillable units on Amazon for sellers, 80% plus, are fine. There's no issue with the problem with the products at all. Many times we see that, you know, sometimes there's somebody buys a product on Amazon and they want to return it, but then Amazon tells them, okay, you want to return it, it's got $3-4 you have to pay for shipping to return it. Uh, okay, if everything is okay with the product. But some customers, what they do, they say, you know, I don't want to pay the $3-4, so I'll just tell Amazon something's wrong with the product, because then Amazon will give me free shipping back. So it might say it's damaged, something's wrong with it, whatever. So Amazon will give them, okay, here's your, here's your free label, ship it back. And because the customer said there's a problem, Amazon believes him, which is because the customer is always right, and Amazon's right. The best policy is to have is that the customers are right. Amazon is not going to inspect it for you. It's not going to check it. It's going to say new status, unfulfillable. So basically now it's the responsibility of the sellers to see what's going on with that. So they can either throw it away, do dispose, or remove it. Okay, but here let's touch this little example of what happens, you know, if you do a removal order. Let's do a little mathematical equation, if you like, right? So you have a unit cost, right? Your original cost of the product is $2, right? To remove it from FBA usually costs 50 cents per unit. That's what Amazon charges usually. To inspect it, labor, right? You're gonna have people in the warehouse checking it and testing it, whatever it is. It can cost you another $2, and then to resell, it can cost you another $2. Meaning you gotta ship it, package it again, ship it back to FBA. It can cost you another $2, right? And then the removal cost was $6.50. So look what happened. You started with $2, and then your price went up 3.5 times to $6.50, right? So it looks pretty expensive, right? You're gonna pay a lot of money to deal with this problem. But look what happened if you send it back to the market, back to Amazon. The selling price on Amazon is about $20. The Amazon fees for the seller is about 32%. You know, it's about 15 or 17% for the selling fee, and all the rest is pick and pack fees. You know, all the FBA fees. So the net proceeds is $13.60. All right. So after you sold it for $20, you kept $13.60. Now you do 1360 minus 650, your new cost, right? And you're gonna have net profit after cost about $7. So once again, the equation is you invested $6.50, but you're able to get your $6.50 back plus $7.09. So you made more than 100% on your money. So for this particular seller, for this particular example, it's worth it for them, okay, to do a removal order. Even if it triples their cost, they can get their money out, the money they invested in the products, plus profit. Okay, so any seller should probably do at some stage this little, take an Excel file, put all your costs in, then know how much you're selling it online on Amazon and all your fees, and see mathematically if you can get your money back out. You should at least do that. Even if you invest 650 and then you're able to get out 650, it's worth it for you, because before that you had a $2 loss, right? Because your original unit cost was $2, right? That's your, so if you never take care of that $2, you just lose it. And if you invest 650, you might get 650 back, which is all the cost of the inspection plus your original cost. Some sellers want to get their money out. They're really hard on the money. They can do it, but especially if you have a profit, you should do it. You should inspect it and return your items. Now, if it's too hard for people, there's companies out there. It happens to be that Tradeport. You see, Tradeport USA is one of those companies. They can do it for you. Actually, we have a partnership with Tradeport, meaning they're gonna inspect. What they can do is they can inspect all the removal orders for the clients. If everything's okay with the products, they're gonna send them back to FBA. If the products are not FBA condition, they can sell it in other markets. They can sell it on Walmart, on eBay, or wholesale. But if there's any issue with the product, let's say you sent in a cell phone cover, right? And instead of getting that back, you got back a baseball, right? So you clearly got the wrong item back. That's eligible for an FBA reimbursement. So once Tradeport finds that issue, they can give us the data, the information, and we're going to open a case on behalf of the sellers to make sure that they get reimbursements for those types of issues. So if anybody needs help, there's also an ability to get help with that as well. Okay, here we're getting to a tip that it's pretty useful and getting more money back for sellers. This is kind of what Getida is also very famous for, is auditing. You can audit your Amazon account for discrepancies. What does that mean? If you sell an Amazon FBA, there's a bunch of problems that can happen along the way with the products, okay, that you have on a logistical level and also financial level. Some of them were already touched and addressed. So in general, for most types of issues, Amazon tells you can go back 18 months and check me. Check if I did it, if I have any issues. If anything got lost, damaged, destroyed, overcharged, I'm going to give you an ability to open a case and get a reimbursement. Okay. So it's most of the things it's 18 months, and then you have for when you send products to Amazon, what they call inbound, right? You send products to Amazon's warehouses, so that actually have 9 months to reconcile that. So anything that happened, anything that got lost in between, you have 9 months to take care of that. And then the pick and pack overcharges that we mentioned, you have 90 days. So in general, you have 18 months, 9 months, and about 90 days. So here, what they need to do, they need to audit and find all the problems, all the discrepancies. But when they do so, when they find all these problems, make sure you comply. You don't send all the cases one day, one shot. You can't open up 10, 100 or 200 cases out of nowhere. Amazon doesn't like that because you're wasting, it's all of a sudden you're gonna have to put a lot of attention, and especially if the cases are inaccurate, meaning you open a lot of cases but they're not accurate, you're just wasting Amazon's time. They don't like it. That's why they expect you to comply. They expect you to know what you're checking, what you're talking about, and make sure it's accurate. Okay, and then you open it gradually. Okay, you open a few cases every day to make sure that they can properly address it. Because if not, if you're bombing them and just throwing a lot of claims, and you're wasting the time, they can use this time to help another seller who is really complying and following the rules. Now, in general, statistically, we find that between 1 to 3% of all your Amazon inventory is going to experience an issue along its lifetime. Okay. Like I said, when you send products to Amazon, in the warehouse, things can get lost, damaged, destroyed. When Amazon ships from one warehouse to another, things can happen there. When Amazon ships products to the customer back to Amazon, and even Amazon back to the sellers, there's a lot of things that can happen there. Plus, we have the overcharges of the weight and dimensions. That's a financial discrepancy. Where financially, they overcharge you for pick and pack, which we already addressed. So let's say you make $1 million a year on Amazon and FBA sales, 1 to 3% could be $10,000 to $30,000. Okay, so if you're not auditing your account and getting all that money back, it can be a lot of money. Now,
yeah.
Huh?
It is a lot of money.
Yeah. And
like,
sellers need to, sellers need to understand another thing. If you don't get the maximum that you're eligible on getting from Amazon, what happens is you kind of lose twice. The first thing you're losing is your cost of goods, your investment, the money you invested in the product. And the second thing you lose is your profit. Because when Amazon reimbursed sellers, right, with an FBA reimbursement, they reimburse the seller as if the unit, the item, got sold on Amazon. And that usually includes a profit, right? So instead of having a double loss, a double negative, you have a double positive. That's what sellers need to really understand and do the maximum they can do to audit and get the maximum they're eligible for. And of course, if it's too much for them, it's too much of a headache because there's a lot of back and forth. Once again, you can reach out. There's companies out there. Happens to be the Getidas, also one of them, and we can help anybody that needs help. And like I mentioned, we only charge a fee if we're successful. If we did all the checkups for you and we're not successful, we're not going to charge you anything. It's not a problem. Okay, here's a small case study to show sellers the impact, right? If you audit your account, what can it do to the bottom lines? Because the whole idea of the presentation is to what can you do to improve your profits. So here we have a case study. There's a seller who did $18 million a year. Okay, they sold about 300,000 units. From these units, about 9,000 units expected and experienced an issue, right? Which is about 2.8%. In Getida, what we did, we helped them to get $151,000 back. Okay, which helped them by 11%, almost to the bottom lines. Okay, because before that the profit was 1.3 million. Okay, we added another 151,000, which boosted the profit by 11%. Okay, so that the ability to audit and get like 1 or 2% back, in reimbursements can do big things to the bottom line. So that's pretty much the power of what we do with Getida, and that's what's very, very important for sellers to to do that and get the maximum they're eligible to get. And of course, if somebody needs help and it's complicated for them and they want to try us out, what we did, we prepared a special offer for AMZ Your Way for your group. What they can do is if they go to Getida, if they want to sign up and they want our help, they can put the promo code AYW400, which is Amazon Your Way 400. And what's going to happen is the first $400 that we're going to get for them and FBA reimbursements will be for free. We're not going to charge them anything. So no matter what, you're going to have $400 more, right, in your business, in your Amazon account. And if you're happy with the results, you're free to stay, right? You're welcome to stay. And if you don't, it's okay. You can leave. It's not a problem. The idea for Getida, our mission is to give power, empower the sellers. The more the sellers know and the more they're educated and the more they're empowered and we can help them, the longer they're going to, stay in business and they're going to be successful and they're going to grow, and it's going to help us also to grow. So we're trying to help others so we can help ourselves, of course, but it makes it like a community effort. We're all in this together.
Yoni, is there any minimum sales or revenue that you recommend of start?
No. We work with all the sizes. We work with the top 100 sellers. Some of our clients that do over $200 million a year, but some of our clients that do 50,000 a year, 10,000. It doesn't really matter. There's it's free to join. You can have free access to the technology, to the dashboard. That's free to join. And then once you're inside, you're gonna have a green button that says, I want to join. For you guys to open claims or to manage my account. And if once you upgrade to that position, then we're going to charge the 25% fee. But we can do it for any size. There's no restriction, no limitation. We're just here to help. It's very important also to remember that, okay, you started your business, you're doing 10,000 a year, 50,000 a year. Okay, well, what's going to happen in a year or 2 or 3? If we're going to support you, we're going to help you. Okay, every dollar helps, you're going to grow. So hopefully next year will be 100,000 or 500,000, 1 million. Just to share a little bit about my experience from my past. Before Getida, I was also an Amazon seller. And what happened was, I started selling on Amazon with my partner at zero. And very, very quickly it grew to the millions. And then, we're just very short years, we already grew to $20 million a year in selling on Amazon. And because of that, Getida was born. Because all that volume came in so quickly, we had to manage and build technology to audit all the transactions. Okay, and then later on, we also joined a larger group that did over $100 million on Amazon, right? Selling on FBA mostly. So we had to even develop the technology even more, right? To have a very good ability to audit, to track all the transactions. And another thing, we had to develop a dedicated team that can help, manage all the claims. Right? Because we're not a software, we're not a robot. We don't want to open cases automatically. The cases that we open with Amazon, it's actually with real people, a real staff. And today we're very lucky because a big part of our staff is ex-Amazon employees. They used to work in Amazon in those departments. So we kind of know what we're looking for, how to look for the issues, how to present the case. And even if Amazon sometimes rejects a case, sometimes, they're in a rush, they don't understand what's going on. We're able to reopen the case, explain ourselves a bit better. And when Amazon sees that, they say, "Oh, we apologize. Here's your reimbursement, and everything's okay." So and because we know the information so deeply, and we're so familiar with it, it gives us the ability to really go deep, and make sure that to fix everything, make sure everything's correct, everything's really making sense. And of course, if there's a need to reimburse, those reimbursements get provided, and hopefully that's how we reach to the maximum levels. Okay, that's pretty much our mission.
Okay, I do have 2 questions for you.
Sure.
Statistically, where do you find most of the errors with Amazon, in addition to what you was talking earlier today? And what is the success rate to get a reimbursement for our sellers?
Okay, it's a very good question. 2 questions. So I'm going to start actually from the last question. That's a good point. We actually monitor our success rate. That's very important because we want to make sure we're compliant. Don't forget, because we're a service provider on Amazon, we have 2 commitments. We're commitment obviously to the customers. We're committed to Amazon to make sure we're compliant and everything's very, very good and very, very professional. So we actually monitor the success rate. Right now, our success rate is above 75% success rate. So for every 4 cases we're going to open, more than 3 cases, we'll get reimbursed. Why? Because we know the information. We know if we see something is already fixed, we're not going to open a case and ask Amazon and waste their time. We have the ability on the technological level and the understanding level to focus really on the problems and find the problems, as quickly as possible and in the most accurate as possible. So our success rate is very, very high because we track and monitor that. And also on the dashboard, on Getida's dashboard, the sellers can also track us. They can see the success rate. We're going to show you. The last 30 days, success rate was 80%. The last 90 days was 90%. you're going to see it. Sellers can also track it to show them that we're doing a good work. You're going to have the dashboard is going to show the cases are open and what's the status. Is it paid, not paid? Is it expired? We give the visibility to the seller so they can track and monitor, our quality. So we really believe in that. Sorry, the first question was, just remind me the first question.
What
Oh, the biggest thing, the
the-
biggest issues. So it really, every seller has a different profile. If you're selling something that's made out of rubber and it's small, it doesn't tend to get, damaged or broken. But if you're selling something from glass, like glass cups, you can have more damages, for example. So, there's a big spectrum of profile of products, but also Amazon's warehouses. Some warehouses are better than the other, right? So taking everything together, it's very hard to tell. But I can still, give a simple answer that, most of the issues that we see are obviously when you ship products into Amazon's warehouse, like the first beginning, many times you'll find issues there. It can be either because of the warehouse or the 3PL of the sellers and also Amazon's warehouse, the combination of two warehouses trying to, I guess, work together. So that can create issues. And then things that get lost, damaged, destroyed, and disappear in Amazon warehouse, we see that a lot. And of course, the winning dimensions overcharges, the financial overcharges. That's a pretty big triangle that we see. Inside of each one, there's complexities, right? It's not so simple, but as far as we can see, when you ship products to Amazon, when the product's already in Amazon's warehouse, and also on a financial level, when Amazon charges you for all the fees that you're selling, that kind of triangle, you see a lot of problems. But of course, there's other types of issues, that we see. They're not so common, but they're there. For example, if Amazon says, okay, you had an issue, here's your reimbursement, here's your $100 reimbursement. What might happen is on a financial level, I guess they forget to process it, or they never do. They tell you, here's your reimbursement ID, and you check, and then the money never came in. They never got processed for whatever reason. Maybe a system error, I don't know. So what you do is you open a case with Amazon and say, hey, remember this case and this reimbursement ID? I never got it. It's been 30 days. They say, oh, we apologize. Here, we're gonna reprocess it, and here's your reimbursement. So that's like a small example of a financial discrepancy that might happen after you did all the work and you did all the investigation, you opened the case and you went back and forth, you got reimbursed. It might be that reimbursement never reached your Amazon account. So you want
the
to
check
be
never
also on the look
arrived.
for that.
Yeah, check never arrived. The check is never
Exactly. Yeah. We're gonna send you a check. Yeah, and the check never. That's a good point. So you gotta make sure. Hey, where's my check? Right. So that's also an issue that we see out there. And in general, there's more than 20 types of issues that we audit and track for. What's interesting for us is that, or what we like, our passion is to listen to the problems that our sellers have, right? Because every time they come with a problem or a challenge, we're able to basically, first of all, listen and learn, try to help them solve it and fix it. And once we do, what happens is we're able to share that, check that same problem with all of the network. And therefore, we have an ability to find more and more problems and try to scan these problems and find it across the network and help more and more sellers. And that gives us the power to help and as much people as possible and as much sellers as possible and get to very, very, very high results because we keep listening. We're passionate about it. We want to find the next problem, the next type of issue. And there's all these weird issues that we do find. All of a sudden, we find in other sellers. So that gives us a lot of power to really help, the sellers and give us, in a way, also an advantage compared to a regular seller. You don't know what you don't know. But because we know so much, we're able to go deep in all these layers and try to, bring it out and check if everything is really okay.
Yeah, that's good. Great, Yoni. Thank you very much. Very useful information for our community. I really appreciate that. Any final words before we are going on?
Good luck to everybody. It's very important to know that you are in a good position because the e-commerce or selling on Amazon, it's a revolution right now. The whole world the eyes of the world is looking into this industry and to buy. Right now, in America, you can't really go to a store anymore. You have to buy something, and the best place to buy is pretty much Amazon. So that is where you're located. Don't forget that, and make sure that you stay focused, work hard. It's going to give you results. It's a revolution going on, and you're part of it. So enjoy the ride.
Yeah, definitely. E-commerce is going to boom and increase. Sellers going to increase their sales, and a lot of more business is expected to come in the next year or two. So
right, just to give a little bit of perspective, if you were developing a product to sell it into a regular store right now, you have no business.
Right.
The fact that you already have a business and you can actually focus on what's the next product or how to get more sales, that's unbelievable. People tend to forget that if you compare it to, the old industry of regular stores.
Definitely. Okay, so I really appreciate your time and having this information with us. Thank you very much and have a great time.
Thank you, Asaf. Pleasure to be here. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.
Thank you.